thoroughly modern economies in which I can prepay my hotel bill in Patagonia or speculate on gold futures on the Hang Seng Index from the comfort of my lounge room, you've got to ask, what remains of the need for this?
Instant and electronic global finance is really reducing the need for me to carry around a wad of cash. But this new era of Wi-Fi money is still very real and all accounted for. Just ask the tax man. But as we're asking in this series, what of the unseen dollar? Not funny money, but work that's valued in many a form of a quid pro quo.
We've already witnessed the immense value of the informal sector of the workforce, the importance of it as a big cog in our economies. So what other areas are overlooked and yet contribute just as significantly to the economy? How about the volunteer? Volunteerism is viewed as altruism, an invaluable act of compassion, a gesture of genuine selflessness in an ocean of self-interest. What then is the economic value of these people who contribute so much for nothing more than a thank you? I'm Priya Viswalingam, and in this episode, we'll explore volunteerism and dare to search for the unseen dollars in this garden of goodwill.
Siapa tahu ini gambar apa? Mobil.
Volunteer work can range from something as simple as helping out in an organized cleanup of an area to something as big of a deal as a human rescue initiative in a disaster-stricken area. It may come as a surprise to some, but experts have managed to calculate the monetary value of such volunteer work. The independent sector, an organization that acts as a leading forum for charity work, has been estimating volunteerism's economic value on a yearly basis. Sure, it's a challenge trying to put a fixed monetary value on volunteerism. What with the scope of work done by volunteers?
Karena tergantung juga dari sisi resikonya menurut saya. Yang pertama, kalau resikonya itu katakan kecil dan memang itu maksudnya nggak terlalu memakan waktu lama dari sisi yang jadi sisi sukarelawan, saya rasa bayarannya hanya berkisar sekitar sampai maksimal itu 100.000 ya, itu udah cukup mawar. Tapi kalau memang dia harus mengandung resiko, saya sih taksir kisaran ya sampai 100.000 sampai 1 juta rupiah, itu tergantung range-nya sih.
Here in Indonesia, we meet Ibu Kirin, a university graduate born and raised in Jakarta. She, along with a few others, volunteers as a teacher of young children with special needs of the rural village community.
Saya mendirikan tempat ini karena dulu saya punya anak yang menderita disleksia, kemudian dia juga speech delay, kemudian ada gangguan di tulang belakang. Nah, kemudian Tuhan sembuhkan dengan didoakan dia sembuh. Sebagai ucapan terima kasih saya membuat tempat ini karena ada begitu banyak anak yang tidak seberuntung dia. Jadi saya mencoba juga untuk berbagi dengan mereka, mencintai mereka, menyayangi mereka dengan mendirikan tempat ini.
And that's not all Ibu Kirin does. The volunteer teachers are also responsible for the physiotherapy of the children and teaching them living skills, as well as the maintenance of the school, which includes daily cleanups of the entire compound. The Corporation for National and Community Service came up with a rough estimate that volunteers should be paid US $21.26 an hour. Should a value even be placed on the works a volunteer does? And how do charity organizations like Ibu Kirin's pay the volunteers?
Sebenarnya saya ingin sekali memberi itu mereka, paling tidak untuk mengganti transport mereka. Tapi kalau berbicara tentang apa yang mereka bagikan mungkin tidak bisa dinilai dengan uang ya, gitu. Jadi itu ketulusan hati mereka.
There is also the issue of volunteer work being mostly of an altruistic nature. Is it really necessary then to place a price on volunteerism?
Kalau di luar negeri, memang saya kurang tahu di sana situasinya seperti apa. Tapi kalau di Indonesia, hal tersebut sebenarnya cukup sangat bermanfaat yang katakan dari sisi volunteer gitu. Tapi menurut saya itu kan juga bisa membuat orang jadi menimbulkan suatu pekerjaan tambahan gitu. Dan membuat volunteer itu ya orang akan beralih mungkin menganggap volunteer itu adalah suatu pekerjaan bukannya suatu kesukarelaan hati karena dia melihat dari besarnya tarif yang ditetapkan seperti itu. Apalagi per jam ya menurut saya.
Volunteers itu harus berangkat dari hati. Tidak dengan paksaan ataupun karena menginginkan sesuatu. Saya percaya kalau misalkan setiap orang memiliki jiwa seorang volunteer, maka negara ini atau bangsa ini juga akan lebih berkembang, baik dalam sosial, pendidikan, ataupun yang lainnya. Dan jika bersifat individualistis, ya mungkin tidak akan pernah bisa mencapai satu tujuan.
If Ibu Kirin had continued to work in the States after graduating as a special education teacher, she would have an annual salary of $47,000 US. But if we include all the additional work she does, it would be equivalent to earning an estimated $170,000 US a year.
By saying that $21.36 an hour is the value of volunteerism, does that include intangibles like societal advancement? Surely not.
Namun kalau dikatakan untuk Indonesia, saya rasa mungkin itu juga hal yang bisa dibilang cukup lebih ya, itu sebesar 21 ringgit sih. 1 jam volunteer gitu. Karena kalau di kita itu katakan volunteer itu biasanya ya mungkin karena sukarelawan yang orang bisa tidak memberikan suatu bayaran atau yang paling tinggi maksimal ya kurang lebih hanya Rp100.000 itu pun juga cukup memang orang yang benar-benar rela memberikan lebih sih seperti itu.
Up next, we take a look at two very different volunteers, some who directly influence a country's tourism trade and others who do back-breaking work in the hot sun, but both for good causes. In busy, highly regulated Singapore, one of the largest contributors to the country's economic growth is tourism. And it's within this industry that we find a rather different volunteer to the teacher in Indonesia.
You don't get to see the people on top. They are so huge.
This is a volunteer tour guide. As the name suggests, he organizes and conducts tours for no monetary gain.
All the art historians with tubes. Because the industrialization made tubes, so they could paint.
Unlike the volunteer in Indonesia, this form of volunteerism doesn't benefit the community at large in any obvious way. It's more about self-fulfillment, with most volunteer guides signing up just for the fun of it.
So it seems some acts of volunteerism are more beneficial to society than others. Is it really right, then, to apply a fixed monetary value to all facets of volunteerism? What about the volunteers who literally perform back-breaking work, and all for a good cause?
For example, what about volunteers who swap the complex mental rigors of high city finance for some hard physical labor?
Each morning, the volunteers wake up to a new day of not only construction work, but also maintenance work like plumbing and cleaning and providing basic health care.
My name is Dave Ingleby. I work for Habitat for Humanity as a global volunteer. So I've been working really in their head office in Delhi. But on days like this where, teams are building, I'll come down and help them out. They're basically, the work you can see at the moment is they're actually demolishing the old structure. So the house, although it looks quite solid, is not a good house. So they're going to demolish it and start putting up a proper house with reinforced concrete pillars in the corner, so that the family, the beneficiaries, are able to build an extra floor and actually have a decent house to live in. So that's what they're doing. So this is really the start of the process.
Here's a group of highly skilled individuals, educated in different fields of work: engineering, architecture, and even medicine. Along with their professional lives, they also lend their expertise to this growing village in India.
Companies, as they are growing now, and they wanted to do something for the society, people who are in need, and they want to do something to the society. So as part of their corporate social responsibility, they wanted to be part of the societies, to involve and uplift them in their need. So that's one. The second one is also it has a other benefit. When the staff come out, they learn a lot. They understand the poor people's need, and also it brings a lot of interpersonal relationship. It's built them as a team. So the companies see these two. One is as their contribution to the society. Second one is the community as a staff. They are able to come together as a team. They understand. They go back and they come work as a team. These are two major benefits I see when they come. The corporates are actually involved in these shelter programs.
Benefits out of this. So you are really investing in human capital. So, I mean, the ultimate object of voluntary work is to improve the social capital at a much lower cost than, say, government would have liked to do. I mean, the same. I mean, if a school is put up by a government and I'm employing regular teachers and so on, it will cost much more.
You want to help the community. Maybe it's just one day in a year where the bank gives you a good opportunity to help the community. I mean, it's a good platform where you can assist maybe those people whom you do not interact with on a daily basis. So maybe it's your way of giving it back to society in a small way.
Last year, since January 2011, we are able to get 565 overseas volunteers and 500 plus domestic volunteers. Put together, I think we are able to come around 25,000 volunteer hours through the habitat work.
So this kind of exercise, even in the case of social development or social economic development by volunteers, I mean, one can see, capitalize it in this cold economic numbers, and you can come to a monetary figure. But those are under certain limitations. You have made a number of assumptions in this, and under those assumptions, you come to a figure. But one cannot go by that as a kind of the real benefit which people are getting, or the cost that is involved. So I think these numbers sometimes help you to formulate policies, but one should not go or believe in those things and go by that criteria. They are just signals for you to formulate your programs and policies.
A new house can cost from as little as $1,300 in some parts of Asia. To date, Habitat for Humanity has built more than 500,000 houses, sheltering more than 1.75 million people in more than 5 continents and 3,000 communities worldwide. That would equate to $650 million spent on building homes, and to us, that's unseen dollars.
How then is it possible to put a price on something like that? Should we be even trying to?
I don't equate volunteers as a cheap labor. I think it goes beyond the labor, and I think there's a permanent source of inspiration, and it's a continuous support. You don't actually limit yourself. Limiting themselves to a monetary value, it's very. I don't think it's correct. So I think it goes beyond the monetary hours or the money you generate. I think the inspiration is more important.
We meet Terence, a veteran disaster relief volunteer. In Asia, when thinking of the word volunteerism, disasters don't usually spring first to mind. Perhaps it's because of the large and tragic scale of such operations that we do not immediately make the association.
So I was basically invited to help to move some stuff, get a company transport and so on and so forth, to help facilitate this logistic stuff. So I got sucked into that volunteerism thing. Next thing I knew, it was 12 midnight. We were working round the clock, and that went on for several days. I saw people hanging onto their life on anything that floats, children, women, and that was the first few images that really moved me when I saw that, and I think something needs to be done.
Well, I think it's because you kind of feel the pain. I mean, if you have floods or you have an earthquake, you connect in a very one-to-one way. It's like your house fell down and you lost your child, and it could jolly well happen to me. And it's just, disasters are such incredible human tragedies that it's just, the world has become smaller, and it's possible for people and people have enough money to be able to take a train and go there. We saw that in the tsunami. We've seen that in earthquakes, where people just take holidays and tell their office we can't come in, and 3 people will just go there and say we want to do something.
What can we do? What can I do? I'm a landscape designer. They don't need a landscaper in the disaster area. So what we can do? So I think for some reason we managed to come together and decide and consolidate the resources to find out what each one of us can contribute. And as we form a team of 28 people, and we decided that's it, we are going there. We need to have a mission why we go there for. So the next phase will be reconstruction. There we have to gather information, what do these people need? They need a house. They need a roof over their head. So, because we are in the landscape, we are well connected with a lot of architects and engineers. So we got over with a team of engineers and architects who came together, and we designed the house.
In order to see through the project, the team, comprising of building professionals, approached the Red Cross for funding.
So Red Cross was very quick. They gave us those funds, and those houses were subsequently built. First phase was 100 houses. We managed to build them.
A team of relief volunteers enter a disaster-stricken area to provide food, water, sanitation, shelter and basic healthcare to save lives. If we are to put a value on the healthcare, infrastructure repair and agricultural rehabilitation provided for 1 month, it would total $22,000. But what about the value of saving a life? Now, that's priceless.
Now, I personally think that volunteerism should not be equated